We are going to be doing an interview of Waffle Productions, who is an ex employee of Bricks and Minifigs, and so today we're going to be listening to his story. Let's see him. We're going to get him in. And yeah, so we'll listen to his story. Just want to let you know that this is a person's actual story, and so all opinions from that. So you can figure out as a viewer what you believe, but this is a person's story of what really happened. So this is their story. So we'll listen to Waffle Productions and see what he has to say. But it should be a pretty good interview today, I would think. But I mean, who knows? We just have to hope and see that this will be good. But I don't know. Knowing with some of these interviews, some things may be good, some things may be bad. But I think listening to his story will be good for at least for the channel and for all that. So, but yeah, just gonna wait for him to come in, and he should be in here. Let's see, should be in here soon. So as we wait, I'm going to turn on some music. Okay, I don't know if you can hear the music, but there we go. So yep, let me message him one more time. I'm gonna say. So I'm just messaging him, letting him know that he can hop on. And this music is not the greatest, so I'll be back one more second. Okay, so let's see. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm gonna here. Let's see. There we go. I invite you to co-host.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Hang on, give me one second. I'm gonna turn down this music I
Of
put
course,
in.
of course.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. I've been good. Glad we were able to get this interview. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how have you been?
I've been all right. All things considered. I've never done anything on Whatnot before, so okay, there you go. Mike, gotcha. Now I figured out how to do it. Okay. But I've been doing all right, overall, kind of handling family business and then also, getting fired on top of that. All of it's kind of been jumbled up, but I've been all right.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I know this whole Bricks Mini Figs thing. It's blown up over the past few weeks, and so I know a lot of people want to hear the story of like an employee, or as you are, like an ex-employee of Bricks and Minifigs. And so I really want to hear what was your story? What was your experience working in a Bricks and Minifigs store?
So my overall experience was really good. I started working there after I graduated high school. I just saw that they were hiring, pretty much applied instantly, quit my former job, and I started working for them. And all throughout my junior college experience, I worked there. And I just recently graduated junior college with my associates, and I plan to go to university. But it was really good. For the time being, the hours were really good. The people I got to meet were really good. My managers and coworkers were awesome. Some, like, you're gonna have workplace drama anywhere you go, but overall, my experience at Bricks and Minifigs was really good, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what a lot of people, and it's the sad thing about a lot of stores is ever since this really started, a lot of stores are getting, hate and they're having their own things going on when they really didn't have anything to do with it. And so hearing that, a lot of stores actually have, there's good people working in these stores, not everyone is part of the problem. And so, doing that note and especially that helps with more and more people saying, "Hey, this is what's going on, but these people don't really have anything to do with it." So, but yeah, I mean, so one thing I was gonna ask is, so so I know you said that when we were messaging, you said that you made some like work, you made some like videos or whatever, and then that ended up being what really like what happened with all that?
So I have a YouTube channel, and I uploaded for the past 2 years that I was working there. And my boss knew of these videos. She saw them. Her kids watched them and stuff like that. So she knew the videos that I was making, and all of them were family friendly. None of them were bashing the company in any way. Uh, so from the time I got hired to the time I got fired, I was making these short videos about working in retail, working in a Lego store, just fun stuff like that. None of them were ever targeted towards the company. Even the video that I made whenever it came to the controversy, it wasn't even me talking about it. It was a slideshow of it looked like liminal spaces of the store that I worked in, and it was like rare aesthetic. You work in bricks and minifigs during the controversy. So it was nothing like, and it had like eerie like backrooms music to it. So it wasn't anything bad. I didn't talk about it. I didn't say, "Hey, Bam is bad. This company's horrible. Give Brian his Legos back," or at all. Even though that's what I believe, I never said anything like that in the video. And my manager ended up calling me the next day and said, "Hey, we like you can't do that. You can't post that. You need to take it down. We can't talk about it." So I took that down, and she ended up getting sent some of my old videos of the just funny, like working in retail, dealing with difficult customers, uh, playing with Legos as a career or as a job. Because that's what a BAM employee really does. I mean, they help customers, but like most of it is building Lego sets, sorting through Lego. So it's a fun job, and she got sent to just a bunch of the videos, and she was like, "Well, it looks like you're making fun of corporate and you're making fun of customers." And I'm like, "That's not the case at all. It's just, some of the videos, yeah, I made fun of dealing with difficult customers, but nothing ever like, oh, this specific person sucks." I never said anything like that. And so she ended up saying, "Well, it looks like you're not happy here, so we're going to have to let you go because you're not a good fit." So by that means it's like, okay, do you have to be fully happy where you work? Because yeah, I had some rough days working there dealing with difficult customers, but who doesn't in anywhere they work?
Oh yeah, well, that is very because like you said, you made some fun, no nothing bad against the company, none of that, and I really think once this controversy started, I believe once it really started, whatever the truth is, whatever's happening, I believe that I think a lot of the people were like some of the franchise owners and workers in BAM in general were all like kind of spooked in a way with what was happening because they were worried about the community, and as we've seen, this is been a problem. And so that's what I somewhat believe is that is what ended up one reason that you may have been let go was because they were worried how people may take something like this and then just run with it down the road, in which that has nothing to blame with you. That's more of what other people may do or what they believe now we don't know what they're really thinking behind everything, but yeah, but yeah, I think that yeah, but that's really that's really just my opinion. But yeah, but one thing I was gonna ask is one thing I was gonna say is oh man, I'm I'm losing track of all my questions right now. One thing I was gonna ask is so this is kind of a little bit off topic, but so you started when you started years ago when you were in high school. What is one of your like favorite memories working at a bricks and minifig store?
I can't say that I have like a specific memory. Like there's a lot of things that stand out. I remember a guy came in with his daughter and he spent like 3 grand on him and his daughter. Like that was a fun experience of like getting to help them pick out all the stuff. And he's like, "I have money now," and Like I don't know what he does for a living, but that was a fun experience. We got to sell a Cloud City boba. That was an awesome experience. January 1st of 2024 or 25, I can't remember, but that was a fun experience. Uh, but I think overall, like my favorite moments of working at a store were just the amazing people, customers that I met. Um, I got to meet people from all over the United States. My location is the only one in East Texas, and so it was cool seeing people come from like Louisiana, Oklahoma, other parts of East Texas flood to this specific store, and just getting to meet all these people. We've gotten to meet people from other countries and just to hear their stories, because sometimes people just, if it's the store is empty, they just shoot the breeze with us. And those moments were always really cool because we got to talk about our opinions of Legos, our opinions of really anything you can think of, and then the topics of like Star Wars and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, themes of Legos, but then just diving into actual aspects of it. But those are always my favorite experiences, just the customers and stuff like that. So none specific, no specific memories that I can think of, but those customers were always nice to deal with.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, especially just for me, just here on whatnot, the community here is also very good. But yeah, but being in person, working in an in person store, I believe from what I'm guessing you had I think that was really I mean fun. I mean, I don't even know honestly, but yeah, I think yeah. Well, one thing I was gonna ask is so when you were working at Bricks and Minifigs, what like or what like theme of sets did y'all really have the most in your inventory? Not like part of the controversy or anything. I'm just wondering, just as a fact.
Our location, we had a lot of Star Wars. That was our primary seller. Star Wars always did really well for us, which is ironic because who knows, it could have been part of his collection. But no, a lot of Star Wars. I'd say almost every trade we got was Star Wars related, or most of them. Of course, you had the random trades of Harry Potter, of Lego Friends, and stuff like that. So there's all those. But Star Wars did really well for us. We had an entire case dedicated to Star Wars, which I've been to other bricks and minifigs and I've seen where it's like they have only the top is Star Wars and then the rest on the bottom is like some other theme of minifigs. But we had an entire case dedicated to Star Wars minifigs, and we always made a big deal about May the 4th. We had a deal for an entire weekend on the second, third, and fourth Star Wars sale, and so made a big deal out of it. We had a guy come in Mandalorian armor, which is pretty cool. So we liked Star Wars at that location, and we always we prioritized and made sure Star Wars looked the best, just because that we knew that was the best seller, and that's what people came to our store specifically for. Because my manager Dylan, he always told me like stuff about like meetings and stuff that they had with other owners and managers and stuff like that, and they would tell what their best sellers were. So it's like, say a store in Dallas, because Dallas is so huge. They have a bunch of different bricks and minifigs around. So a store in Dallas can be different than another store in Dallas. One might be able to prioritize Harry Potter, while the other one may get a lot of Star Wars like us. So I'd say Star Wars would be the top seller for us.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, Star Wars is definitely one higher. That's big popularity. Like I said in one of my videos when I was talking about everything that was going on, I showed some pictures that I was able to have at my local Bricks and Minifig store. They had a whole bunch of Star Wars there, which I believe they went under new management, and so I think he had a bunch of stuff too. So I don't think it was anything to do with the controversy. I don't think it was Brian's Legos that were in the one store that my local Bricks and Minifigs that's not even near where that any of the stuff is. But I do believe, yeah, like I said, Star Wars is definitely very high in priority in the community these days. But yeah, it is very interesting. One thing I was gonna ask is so when so I want to hear basically your basically take on your opinion on what is going on with the controversy. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but I was just wondering whether or not, if you're good, just I want to hear what your take on it was.
So from the get go, like I didn't hear a lot about it. Whenever I first found out, I didn't watch Reckless Ben's videos and stuff like that. I just heard that there was controversy, and my boss sent us on our work group chat on the app that we use to clock in, clock out, and stuff like that. She sent a message basically saying, "Hey, there's a situation in Salem, Oregon. It's a separate location, and here's what you're going to say if anybody asks about it." And I was very confused. I didn't know what was going on. So the next day, whenever I was off work, I sat down with my brother, and because he's a huge Lego enthusiast, and we both sat down and we watched it, and I was just in disbelief on the detail of the video. First of all, like Reckless Ben did a wonderful job on getting all the details, going through it legally and stuff like that. So I applaud him for that because he did a really good job. But I was appalled by corporate, by the specific store. Just funny enough, my store has these things that says 100 stores of awesome bricks and minifigs. And the day before I got fired, I actually took the Salem, Oregon brick. So I have that in my collection because I think it's gonna be worth some money someday. No, I'm kidding. But I was appalled by the whole situation, and me and my managers, my assistant manager and my head manager, and one of my coworkers, we were all talking about it. And my head manager Dylan, he was like, "Hey, listen, like, be careful. Like, we can't be talking about it while customers are in here. Like, we can't talk about it like amongst ourselves, but just no customers." And then that kind of led me to make that video because I thought, hey, online it's different because he didn't say we couldn't talk about it. It just to customers who ask, we couldn't talk about it. But my whole opinion on it has been the same pretty much from the get go. Is that Bricks and Minifigs, that store corporate, just should have given Brian back his Legos from the get go. Like, this was 2-3 years ago that this all broke through, and then it's only recently being uncovered. It should have been handled 3 years ago, not drug out throughout this entire case of uncovering police scandals and uncovering all this. I'm glad that they did uncover the police corruption because now there's people protesting at the Newfork Police Department. And I hope, of course, people stay safe and nobody actually like harasses the officers or harasses even Bricks and Minifigs employees or franchise owners as a whole. But definitely boycotting Bricks and Minifigs, I think, is something we should do because all money that goes into Bricks and Minifigs pockets goes, of course, to corporate. So they need to be taught that this can't slide. They actually sent out an email saying, "Hey, we're in the we're in the phase of like this is the harshest part and it'll blow over." I don't think it's going to. But my opinion is that this should have been handled from the beginning and that it's all idiotic and stupid and it caused me and actually another one of my coworkers to get fired because of this whole situation.
Oh wow. Well, yeah. I mean, I do, and like how you said it, another one of your coworkers were fired. I mean, I do believe a lot of people are going to end up possibly getting fired. Now I believe from so I didn't even watch the Reckless Ben video until I interviewed a BAM franchise owner a couple weeks ago. Now it was before. No, it was during like the beginning of all this, really. But now he had nothing to do with it. Now he was just interviewing. We had a whole conversation. It was all great and stuff. But so basically, like I didn't even watch Reckless Ben. Like I had watched Reckless Ben's video maybe about 2 hours before I started like texting him, and he's like, "Hey, don't ask. Let's not really talk about the. My only request is that we don't really talk about the controversy stuff that's going on." And if I had not watched that video probably about 2 hours earlier, I would have been like, "What controversy? What are you talking about here? What? I have no idea what you're talking about." But then I watched it and I was like, "Okay, so this is what I see is going on." But I do think that now I believe that there were a lot of actions that could have been avoided, and there were a lot of things that, like you said, could have been avoided, and there were some things that I think both part. I think now this is not a very now this is not a very people don't really like this opinion, but I do think that there's different parties that have. I think both parties, in a way, have their own problems. And I do think, in a way, I do think corporate could have done better with how they're doing it, but I also believe that Reckless Ben may have been able to find a different way than doing all the stuff that he did. I think both parties had their own problems and their own way of doing it, which collided, and now we're here. But I do think that in a way, I feel like Bricks Minifig says, "Oh, it's going to be over soon." I feel like they really just added fuel to that on fire when they ended up silencing Reckless Ben. I feel like they're like, okay, because I saw something that was interesting. It was someone said silence is the biggest way to show that you're hiding something. I feel like the way that they silenced Reckless Ben is saying, okay, now it looks like now you're trying to hide, you're trying to cover something up. Now, I mean, I don't know their total point of view. Now, there may have been something that we didn't see on the video that Reckless Ben could have cut out, or there could be some information that has been withheld from the public at this point in time. But I do believe that they really have, in a way, lost their community, especially that when they, like I just said, when they added that fuel to that fire.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is a really good statement. Adding fuel to that fire, they really did. Um, and by turning off comments on all social media, like my local, the one I used to work at, the Bricks and Mafix, they turned off all comments. Uh, Reviews have been taken off of Google and Yelp. I've looked because there have been some reviews that have been up for like a day, and then all of a sudden they're revoked, they're removed, and stuff. So I've seen a bunch of other locations turn off all their comments, shut off DMs. Like you can't do anything but like it or save it, and share it. But that's it. You can't do anything else. And I feel like that is it's not like I get it because it's like those are specific locations, and I do feel bad for the specific franchisee owners and stuff and employees that are getting harassed. We actually did have a few people come in, and I had to answer a few calls. Basically, I got cussed out. It's like I didn't do anything. Like this isn't me. Like I'm on your guys' side. Uh, but I do feel bad for those people who are getting harassed. Uh, but yeah, them silencing and them turning off all the comments, I think is, again, as I said, I get it, but it shows that hey, we're like we don't want any of this, we don't want this, like we don't need this. It's like but you need to face the actions of what you did. You need to own up to what you did because we've all seen the evidence through his two videos, and unfortunately, the third one that can't come out unless he wins this court case. We've seen all the evidence, so we know what's going on, and they're just staying silent about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it is very this. I feel like this court case is going to become something, but I feel like they're saying by the way that they, in a way, silence Reckless Ben. I feel like they're like, okay, I think this is now we can finally. Now the community will like die down. Now they'll consider it over, and we'll consider it over, and we just don't say anything about it, and people will forget about it in like a week or two. But I feel like that really messed up because as you see, there was like oh man, I feel like there was like a leaked email or something that was saying that like there was like Bricks and Minifigs like crisis team or whatever sent out to people saying, hey, this is it'll blow over in about 2 weeks and it'll be fine or whatever. Just like how you said that you had the text message or whatever. Like it was like the people will like they'll be like, hey, this is what you need to say to this, and this. Which is in a way I feel like it's standard. You don't want to get into an actual argument in the storefront because then that's bad for business in a way. So, but still, I do think that trying to find ways to cover up also seems a little bit like they may not be covering up anything, but I do feel like it's a little bit skeptical that they are, trying to keep everything in the in the quiet instead of letting because I mean if you had nothing to hide, why would you want to be quiet?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that. Why would you stay quiet if you want to be transparent? And they even said like, yeah, we want to be transparent, but then they're gonna silence the comments. They're gonna silence Reckless Ben. It's like, okay, obviously, You know, what he's doing isn't detrimental to the company. What all he did was upload a video saying, "Hey, this happened and we want to give him the Legos back." But they didn't. You know, so he didn't do anything detrimental. They've been causing their whole downfall because they haven't been honest. They haven't been transparent with anybody. Like they've been open about some things, but then once they get caught in their lies, you know, like the whole U-Haul situation, the COO and the CEO were like, "No, there was no U-Haul there. Like there wasn't any U-Haul there. We can confirm there wasn't anything." And then the CoffeeZilla video came out. He saw the U-Haul in the front, and it's like, lo and behold, there was. And then they turn it around. They're like, okay, yes, there was a U-Haul, but it wasn't there doing anything. It was actually transporting other Legos from a different store. It's like, okay, so you said there wasn't anything, and then all of a sudden, now that you're caught in your lie, you're like, well, okay, yeah, sure, there was. We didn't want to say anything. It's like that's not being transparent. You know, that's being two faced, and I think that's nasty. That's disgusting of what they're doing. You know, and kind of going back to what you said, I think that um, that yet both sides definitely could have handled the situation better. You know, it's like I get it for Reckless Ben's situation. Like he's a YouTuber. Like some of the things in the video, me and my brother, we kind of looked at each other like that's cornball. You know, like because but I get it. You know, he wants to get views, he wants to get traction and stuff like that. So I fully understand some of the things he did in the video. But I feel like legally he's taken all the right routes and all the ways that he could try to get the Legos back, but obviously the courts are fighting him, and Bricks and Minifigs is trying to take him down. But Bricks and Minifigs is definitely, I think, outweighing Reckless Ben in the sliminess of what they're doing.
Oh yeah, well, in a way, a lot of people, they love the underdog or whatever, and so I feel like in a way that like even though they're, quite like how they parted ways with whatever's in Joshua Johnson and Brandon Best, they parted ways with them, and then they silenced Reckless Ben. I feel like those two end up controversing each other in a way. Like one side is saying, "Hey, these people may have done something wrong, and so we're gonna part ways with them. We're not gonna be part of them anymore." But then the other side's like, but yet we're gonna come in and we're gonna silence the other person, and it's like they're collide. They're two different views that are like from the same company that are like two different points, and they've done this a lot. But yeah, I do think that I do think in a way I do think Reckless Ben did some things that were like you said cornballing a little bit. I do think that he made that him and his for like one thing I saw was like how because since like according to what they say Bricks Minifig said that hey we'll just drag this out so far that it's not going to be worth it anymore or whatever. Then I think that the way that he said that he was going to try to get them to sue him, in a way I think that's smart. It's smart to do that because then you could reveal everything. But I feel like in a way that's also like you're putting yourself up to the possibility that they're going to find something on you and then you're going to be in the wrong too. So instead of taking them to court, in which we saw how all that really went, but still I do think that like I said before, I do think that both parties in a way they had their own things that is happening, but I do think that the court case is going to be the most interesting thing in my opinion because it's basically this one company is now is trying to fight basically for popularity over a community that already is like we're done, and so it's like okay, what are they gonna what are they gonna do? What like even if they win the court case, no one is still gonna shut. People are still gonna boycott. No one's gonna go. They're still gonna lose more and more money. And then I do see some people are like, oh, then we're gonna open our own stores, and they're gonna have like a like a Whoppy Bricks or like a Fritz Bricks. They're gonna have their own stores out there that they're gonna do their own thing, which is also another thing that's smart. But just I think Bricks and Minifigs. I honestly I don't think it's gonna be solved until Amy McNeff if he did anything in general, if he did anything, then he'll, if he ends up stepping down or if he says this is what really happened and it connects with everything and the truth really gets out there, then I feel like then it'll actually end. But until the truth is really revealed, there's gonna be no end to it. Even if you silence everyone, there's still gonna be really no end to it.
Yeah, you're right. I think that I don't think he's gonna like step down at all. I don't think that he's that far. Well, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would step down. I feel like he's going to die on the hill he's on, and thusly, I think it is going to take down the company as a whole, because of the boycotts and stuff like that. You know, as you said. But I think there are locations I've seen that are starting to slowly shut down, and I know that people are now tagging Lego and stuff. And considering it's gotten to this point where people like CoffeeZilla, who's big name, big detective on YouTube sort of thing. And then even people like Moist Critical are talking about it. So it's like you get these big names, and then people are starting to tag Lego. I feel like if Lego gets involved and they say, "Hey, you can't use minifigs anymore," I feel like that may like that's gonna do something to the company. But I do feel that if Ammon McNeff doesn't do anything, doesn't step down, doesn't actually address everything, and actually uh, is honest with the people, even though he did an interview with the CoffeeZilla, like throughout the whole thing, he wasn't honest, and that was where the whole U-Haul thing came out. You know, so it's like this is going to tank the company in some way, shape, or form. If it doesn't fully tank the company to where they have to shut down every store and they have to shut down their whole company. If it doesn't do that, I do still believe, as you said, that if they win the court case, the public's opinion of Bricks and Minifigs is already tanked enough. You're going to get the families who don't really watch the news, who don't understand what's going on. You're going to have those families who come in. But I feel like a lot of the big spenders, because our store had a lot of big spenders. As I said, that one person came in, spent $3,000. We had people come in every time they would come in, they drop $200. And they would come in at least 3 times, 4 times a month. And they spent that just on Lego in our store. So I feel like the big spenders who really understand what's going on, uh, they're probably going to not shop at Bricks and Minifigs anymore. Whenever I got fired, I had a lot of my regulars' phone numbers and stuff because I would talk to them about deals. I'd say, "Hey, we got this in the store," because they're always looking for stuff. And so me and my manager, we'd always get people's phone numbers so then we could tell them if anything's in the store, if we have any deals going on, or just to talk about Legos. Because again, as I said, meeting the customers and stuff, that was always a fun experience. But uh, whenever I would tell them like, "Hey guys, you're not going to see me in the store anymore. I got fired," they were all very upset. They were shocked. They were surprised. They didn't understand why. And whenever I kind of gave them a brief rundown without bashing, of course, I never bashed the company at all, and I still haven't. All I have is just said my opinion on it. But uh, whenever I told them, "Hey, this is kind of basically what happened," they were like, "That is so stupid." And I was actually just talking right before this. I was talking to somebody who I just met, and he was like, "Dude, that is like ridiculous." So he doesn't even know me or the situation as a whole. He just knows what I've told him, and he thinks it's ridiculous. But yeah, I agree. I think that the company is in some deep water, even if they don't. Or if they don't say anything, or if they do say anything, the reputation is tanked regardless.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I do. Yeah, like you said, a bunch of big, spenders. They're not going to come. And one thing that is interesting is, let's see, I had two things on my one. So one thing I saw was Bricks and Minifigs was soon to get like I think they were going to make a deal with Lego to get like some of like resale sets like in their store, like make a deal. But I feel like now that this has all come out, that deal is ripped up, thrown in the trash now. I feel like just because if they do this, then Lego is going to end up being as a whole Lego company. They may not have anything to do this, but they're going to end up getting dragged down because they're making a deal with this. Like, and now I do think that it will, in a way, help some of these, other stores that sell it, like Whoppy Bricks or Fritz Brick, or like some of these, smaller stores. Which is why I do think that it's smart to open up your own store, start your own thing, because that's going to be easier. But now it's bad for the families and the people that own these franchises that have nothing to do with it. But I feel like if you want to be smart, if you want to still do this and you want to be smart, I would say open up your own franchise. Now people may have contracts and stuff that are like tying them down that they can't leave. But if this continues going the way it looks like it's going to be going, it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like there's gonna be like these like the company's gonna lose a bunch of money. These families are gonna lose money. It's gonna end up people are gonna there's gonna be instead of getting let go, there's gonna be more people just quitting because they're not getting enough to pay anything because no one's coming in, and so that's the bad problem about it. But and one thing I saw that was interesting was how M&R Productions was going to all these Bricks and Minifig stores, and that on his vlog videos, and that was getting popularity for Bricks and Minifigs. And they were, if it had kept going like that, they would have, all these stores, all the things, it would have been great. But ever since this happened, he's not really going to any more of these stores, and this is happening, and so Bricks and Minifigs has just lost a big contributor to popularity around their store, and so it really just it's causing more problems than what I feel like they can deal with at a point in time.
Yeah, I because it's funny that you mentioned the whole Lego deal. Is that we Bricks and Minifigs and Lego just did their first official collab with the Lego clock contest, and so it's like if you can design like it's this square clock, and if you can design a cool thing on the border, you can get like a $550 gift card to any Bricks and Minifigs, and that was really cool. Like, oh man, yeah, our first collab with Lego. That's awesome. But I feel like now with this whole thing, I think Lego is gonna see this whole situation as just a cancer that they have to cut off, which is unfortunate for Bricks and Minifigs, like franchisee owners and stuff like that, because it's like this is people's livelihoods, as you said, and people who have nothing to do with the situation but are going to be affected anyways. Um, but I do feel like Lego with again, as I said, with the CoffeeZilla, with the Moist Critical, with all these videos from Regulus Men coming out, all this evidence stacked against Bricks and Minifigs and making it look bad, I feel like Lego is going to end up cutting ties with Bricks and Minifigs as a whole because that's not what Lego I would imagine wants to be represented by. Lego is supposed to be family friendly and stuff like that, and with all this drama, it doesn't look good on the company. And so I feel like Lego might cut ties with Bricks and Minifigs. I know there was a rumored modular set of Bricks and Minifigs that was probably going to come out in 2027, but they silently canceled that, and some leaked concept ideas came out. And so it's kind of crazy to think that we could have gotten a modular set of Bricks and Minifigs. So I'm kind of glad this broke now and not whenever they were in production of that set, because that would have been embarrassing to release that and then all this stuff come out. That would suck.
That would definitely be bad if they definitely released that and then all this came out and they were releasing it at the same time. Now it would be interesting for resellers because they'd be taking it all in and then they'd like scalpers would come in and they'll have all that stuff. But one thing I want to do is so the way that we are able to get these videos is it's like a whole giveaway thing. So I'm gonna give you a free giveaway. You'll get a free figure, so you can do that. But that's basically the one. That's the way that I'm able to get the video from here to YouTube. So I gotta download it via that. So you can have that now. But so yeah, so I do think that this is going to it's gonna end up dragging out much longer than in a way I feel like anyone's gonna really want to. I mean, now there's some people that are like, let's drag it out, let's get them over with, but then it's just like in a way I feel like it's starting to get a little bit old. I think at the very beginning, I think it was like, oh, this is so interesting, all this controversy, all this stuff. I want like this true crime, blah blah blah. So this is gonna be so interesting, and then it just gets to the point, and it's now like, okay, what now? What now? We've really heard just about everything. You've basically silenced the one person who was giving all this information out to the people. So now what do we do? So like, what information is there now except for like a court case? Like there's now I feel like that's also a way that people may be thinking, oh, this is how they're gonna end it is just let it die out. And I believe that's what's starting to happen. But I do feel like every time Bricks and Minifigs honestly, in a way, says something. I feel like they find a way to. Someone finds a way to like come around it and be like, oh, they said this, but then it controversies what they said, a month ago or something like this and that. And now what's interesting to me is how this whole thing came up now and didn't come up all those years ago when it first started. Like I don't like why hold all this stuff for 2 years until it started 2022, 2023 to now 2026, and we start releasing everything. Is like, why now? Why not all those other times you could have? Because like you said, I believe, like at the beginning, how Bricks and Minifigs could have, before this even came out, they could have stopped it then and there. Not in like, no one, honestly, no one would have to know about it except for like Brian and then Crystal and all that. No one would really actually know the story, and they wouldn't face any problems. And Reckless Ben wouldn't have all of his problems and him having to go to Mexico and all that stuff. Like, there would be none of that. And so, but since they decided to, in a way, wait and see what happens, basically, it feels like, okay, we just missed out on the great opportunities to just end this once and for all, and we're just letting it continue to grow and grow. And it's just, in a way, it feels like it's just not going to stop until, something drastic really happens.
I agree with you on the fact that like it has gotten to a point where it's getting old. I mean, like it's not like okay, it's kind of like okay, we already know Bricks and Minifigs as the company. It's like we already know it's garbage, right? We already know that they've been doing all this stuff. They've been shady. They haven't been honest with people and stuff like that. So we already know this is what's going on, right? And so now it feels like with every new thing that comes out, every new video, every new cover of this whole situation, everything that comes out on them, it just feels like it keeps on piling on. Like, yes, we already know they're garbage, but let's just keep it coming. So I feel like as you said, it's getting to a point where it is getting old, and like it's always good to have more information. It's like okay, more justification to not shop there, more justification to not support them. um but then it's like okay, like what's our next steps? Like Reckless Ben is dealing with the whole court case, and he is in Mexico, and he can't talk about them, he can't even mention their name, or else he'll get sued and sent to jail. So it's like it's getting to a point where it's like, okay, what's the next step? What are we going to do now? Because as you said, it's getting old, and I feel like there's no new information that can make me change my mind about the whole thing, unless somehow Bricks and Minifigs sets everything straight and gives us a good thing, and somehow proves that they're innocent in this whole thing. And I got fired for no reason. But if they were able to prove that this whole thing is a sham, that Reckless Ben lied about everything, that Brian never did the consignment deal and stuff like that, if they were able to prove any of that and it was all true, then it's like this would be such a waste of time. But considering all the evidence that, as I said, that came out, all the coverage that CoffeeZilla and people like Moist Critical did, it's like after all of that, their reputation is tanked, and now everything that comes on top of it is just new reason or more reason just to not support them and stuff like that. Hey, I won the giveaway. Sorry, but I think it's all the more reason just to just not support them as a company. Uh, so yeah, I think it is getting old.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's getting old for Bricks and Minifigs in general. I feel like it's getting old for them too. It's like, when is this gonna stop? In which part of it's like, well, it's gonna stop when you start telling the truth. It's gonna stop when you tell what really happened. But then all this stuff. But I do feel like one thing that's let's see, I had something that was interesting that I was gonna say. Oh man, I forgot all about it. But when I get it back, I'll say something about it. But basically, yeah, I do think it's getting old for Bricks and Minifigs. Oh yeah, I know now. One thing that I saw that was interesting is, so now this is just on, I feel like, people's perspective of Reckless Ben, but I know some people who they they didn't even watch Reckless Ben's videos. They just heard everything from outside. They heard it from like other people that told them, like some other people that told them and stuff, and then they looked at Reckless Ben at like some of his videos and stuff, and they were like, "This is the guy that's in. This is the guy that's figuring out." There, some of them were like, do we really trust what he's gonna say in this? Do we really know he's saying this for truthful, or do we know that it's just a cover up for YouTube views or whatever? And so that's really the problem that goes around. But that's like with any video that you see anytime. But also, if it's such a cover up, then why is it getting this far, and why is it getting why is all this, why still, like, there, like, if it was a cover up, then why would there be evidence? Like, why would there be actual like, why would there be people that tell like their story, like how you're telling your story, or like there's other people that actually worked in these stores and we see them, or we see people that have first person experience to stuff like this? Like, what then? If this was a cover up, then why would they be? Why would there be this? If it was a cover up, then they wouldn't have any story, or it'd just be fake scripted stuff. But we have actual, we've seen video evidence, we've seen, PBS, and we've seen all this. So it's like, it may be like, you may think, oh, how do we trust this? But then if we, like, how would you not trust this in a way? Because if you look at all the evidence, it's like, it's hard to not trust what you're seeing.
Yeah, the same kind of thing goes with with my situation and getting fired and stuff like that. Like this, what gets me is that none of my videos, none of what I filmed in the store, none of what I posted about the store, none of it was ever bad. Like, I was family friendly. Like, my YouTube channel, very family friendly. But like, all the videos that I ever uploaded about bricks and minifigs was always clean, funny humor, a little bit of like making fun of like dealing with difficult customers or answering dumb questions. So none of it was ever ill will or ill intended to cause harm to our store, bricks and minifigs as a whole, or customers in general. And so now that bricks and minifigs is under a microscope, it kind of like flipped everything on me. It's like, if I hadn't made any of those videos, then I wouldn't have gotten fired, more than likely, because she said, my manager, he after I went back and he kind of gave me a better rundown of it, he uh he kind of explains, like, yeah, no, she was more than willing to forgive you for that one video, but it's all these other videos that she was sent that she was embarrassed, and she needed a scapegoat, and she wanted to make an example, because if she let me pass, and in the other owner's eyes, then it's like, okay, well, then what else are you going to let your employees do? So she didn't want that heat from other owners of bricks and minifigs, because they all are in like one group chat. At least that's what my manager was kind of telling me. But yeah, this whole situation, if we weren't under a microscope, the videos would have been completely okay. I wouldn't have gotten taken aside. Um, Everything would have been fine had we not been under a microscope and my videos not been sent to her, because everything was going to be okay. But obviously, she needed something. She was embarrassed and she needed a scapegoat and wanted to set an example or something like that.
I mean, in a way, that is somewhat understandable. In a way, I mean, it feels like, yeah, no, I mean, it's bad on you. She should have, used you as a scapegoat or whatever. But it would, in a way, it would hurt it would hurt her being a manager, and it could cost a lot of. There's no reason for you to be fired. Now that's a little, uncalled for in a way, but it's still like, if she didn't do it, then it would look bad on her. Like how you said, like, then what are you going to let all your other employees do? And then that may, in a way, it's like there was really no good. From what I hear, it seems like there was like no good. It was either you get let go, or she ends up having to be, cut ties with bricks and minifigs or whatever. Like, it's like, in a way, it felt like from what I hear from your story, it feels like there's like no good solution there. Now, the right solution would, in my opinion, would be, tell the story like how you told your story. Like, I feel like it's like, I feel like if more and more people tell their story, then I feel like more and more, like, the truth is gonna come out eventually. Now I'm Christian and all that. Now I know everyone else's religion, but I do feel like that. Like, in, like, for my religion, it's like, anytime that, you're hiding something, it's gonna come out sooner or later, no matter what. It's gonna be, it's gonna come out whether or not it's public or if it's just private to people that you know. It's gonna your secret's gonna end up, if you're hiding something, it's majority of the time it's gonna come out. So it's like it's the same thing with here. They were hiding this so-called secret or whatever for 2 3 years, and then finally it just breaks the dam, it breaks loose, and it just floods everything. You see it all over the place now. I feel like ever since Reckless Ben stopped making videos, I feel like more and more people are making less videos on it. I feel like it's beginning to like I said earlier, get old a little bit. But I do think that if Bricks and Minifigs comes out with another statement or says something, that seems, absurd in everyone's minds or whatever, I feel like it's gonna just come back again and again and again. Like, man, who's the YouTuber I saw? I don't remember the full name. It was like Penguin something. He's like big. He's a big YouTuber that does all this stuff. Now, from what I heard, is like he'll usually do like one video off these topics and then go on to the next thing. But he did like 3 different videos on it, and so like how we were talking earlier, like they've like even people who had like who are not even in the Lego community or have no idea about this is getting that. Like my granddad was watching the news one day and it came up on the news and then he was asking me about it. It's like gotten so much attraction that it's not just some little YouTube video that went viral or whatever. It's now on the public news, brought like it's on the news that everyone, even people that have no idea about it, now everyone is seeing. Every secret that you're hiding is getting shown in the light, basically.
Yeah, it whenever like, as I said, I didn't really know much about it whenever they first were telling us like, hey, you can't talk about it and stuff like that. I didn't really know much about it, and then I just saw his one video, and then over the course of 3 4 weeks since the videos come out, I've like it's blown my mind on how many people, as you said, like people who are even outside of Lego, like it's blown my mind on how much this has expanded out to so many different people. People who watch Moist Critical for like random reviews on movies. They're not gonna know, or like they might not know anything about Lego. And then all of a sudden, he makes his videos, and it's like, whoa, like 3 videos. That's crazy. Because I think Penguins O0 or something, that I think that's Moist Critical. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure, but uh, it's like just like, and the news, people who just are watching the news, like your granddad. It's like they're gonna find out about this, and then they're like, whoa, like what's going on? They might look into it and stuff. And if they have people who are into Legos, they might send them those things and say, hey, did you know about this? And so it's been spreading like a wildfire out to different areas that have nothing to do with Lego, Star Wars, bricks and minifigs, anything regarding anything you can think of regarding this situation. It spread to so many different facets of the internet and of the news and of the world, really, to where a lot of people. I wouldn't be surprised if like top government officials have heard about this so far. Especially because of the police scandal and stuff like that. So I agree. I think like this has blown up to such a huge thing that it didn't really have to, but it now is. And I don't think there's anything Bricks and Mythics can do to contain it unless they were fully transparent and honest. But even then, I don't think that would really, contain it.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that there hasn't been a statement in the way from any form of government official, because the fact that from what we've seen is that this police group had all this, like I mean, it already seems like you already have something to hide when like you look inside someone's car and say, "Hey, are are you Ben?" Like it's like, okay, then that means something that you may or may not be in on this a little bit. And so then it came out that like they were all part of the same church or whatever, that they were all that, and so that brought in, I feel like that dragged in some people, and then people learning about the police stuff, I feel like that brought in people. I feel like it's like there's like different groups of people who all that like different topics, but they're all combined in the same one big topic. all together. Like you got the Lego people, then you got all the people that are like interview like crime interviewers, and you got all the people that just like love this kind of stuff. And so like they're all coming in into one topic because of what's happening. And so there's that. But I mean, I'm like I said, I'm surprised there hasn't been anything because like from what I've seen, it looks like that the police after Reckless Ben was released from prison or whatever, he was released from jail and he was let out, and then he got like the phone call from his friend or whatever that there was an officer looking, he's got a warrant for his arrest, and then he ended up running to Mexico or whatever. I'm surprised there hasn't been anything just on that, just because the police and this whole controversy has literally dragged someone and his friends out of the country. I'm surprised that since we've got all this stuff that's going on about keeping the border secure or whatever, blah blah blah, all that. That I'm surprised there hasn't been anything about people leaving the country because of a company that's kicking. I'm just surprised that there hasn't been any official statement from other people that are like higher in the government.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that like people like could imagine like turning on the news. It's just like my son Brandon. He told me about Bricks and Minifigs. What a company! I'm surprised we haven't heard President Trump talk about this yet. But yeah, I think that uh the facets of all this. I mean, like kind of going around. Like just the amount of people this has affected and the amount of people who have heard about the situation is just absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely like you said. It's definitely spread like wildfire all over the entire place. Like it's not. It doesn't seem like there's an end to it, which I firmly believe that it will end at some point. But I do believe that if it does end in like 3 years from now, it's gonna be like it's not. It may not come back up as big as it is, but people are gonna be like, "Do you remember 2026 when this?" Or something that I think it's probably gonna be when 2026 is going into 2027. When you go into 2027 at that new year, I saw some last year where they had like a full show about something. They were talking about everything that's happened over the past year in 2025, and they talked about just like every news thing, all of this, everything that has happened. Well, now going from 2026, when we go from 2026 to 2027, I bet when they're talking about everything that's happened in the past year, it's gonna come up. They're gonna be like, oh. Then it's gonna be like, do you remember like the scandal of the bricks and minifig stuff that went on? I feel like it's gonna do it. Now I do think that in a way this has helped, so it's helped, I think, bring light to the Lego community in a way, in not a great way to say, because it's like a Lego store is now being part of it. So it's like, well, if this store is doing this, then shouldn't this store be doing this and this and this? And so that's the problem. So I feel like in a way, it's not bringing the greatest light to the Lego community, but I do feel like once people see that the majority of the community is like all like against all this that is happening, I believe that people will be like, oh, this store, this company may be doing this, but then all these other people are doing this, and then they may want to be part of this community, and then that will bring more and more people to the Lego community. But I do think that it is, in a way, I feel like Bricks and Minifigs is just, as a company, I feel like they're just digging their own grave a little bit, just every single time that they, I feel like I've said this a bunch already, but like every single time that they say something or do something, and it just adds fuel to that fire, I feel like they're just like digging up another hole, just getting that shovel and just keep on digging, because it's just not. It doesn't seem like it's gonna end.
Yeah, I think that there's again as I said before, I don't think there's anything Bricks and Mayfigs can do uh, to kind of get themselves out of the hole they've dug for themselves. And with all the stuff people have piled on top of Bricks and Mayfigs, there's nothing they can do to remove that because it's on them, and there's nothing they can do. Uh, Whenever it comes to like the other stores, like I feel bad because I've seen a lot, especially on TikTok and Instagram. I've seen a lot of Lego resale stores having to put out official statements because they've been harassed. You know, like a lot of small mom and pop shops for Lego resale. I've seen a lot of them having to be like guys, we're not Bricks and Minifigs. Like we have no relation to Bricks and Minifigs whatsoever, and they're getting harassed. They're getting review bombed, and I feel really bad because it's like it brings out a side of the Lego community because like we've seen countless times the Lego community coming together. Like the guy, I cannot remember his name or what year it happened, but the guy ended up getting his entire Lego collection stolen. It was like all built Legos and stuff like that. He had a full room of them. It was a bunch of old Star Wars stuff like from the '90s and early 2000s, so the classics, you know. And so he got all his stuff stolen, and the Lego community banded together, and they ended up getting him new in box sets, some built sets, and stuff like that, and even more added onto his collection than he ever had before. That's the good side of the Lego community. But as you said, I feel like this whole situation is bringing out a negative side to the Lego community because like I'm more than happy to yes, I think that Bricks and Mayfix should own up to what they're doing. Should own up to what they're doing and should talk about it. But since they're not, I feel like a lot of people don't have a lot of patience, and so they're going to go and review bomb. They're going to go and harass workers. They're going to call endlessly and harass workers to a point where it's like, okay, like we need to calm down. We need to regroup as a community of Lego. We need to, like, yes, boycott the business, but do so in a way that is respectful to the people who are working there, to the families who own those businesses, and then also knowing the difference between Bricks and Minifigs and some other Lego resale of a different name, obviously they're not going to have any relation to Bricks and Minifigs. So I feel like them review bombing all those ones and stuff like that, that hurts my heart for those businesses that aren't in any relation to Bricks and Minifigs at all, and them having to release the statements, them having to even turn off their comments just because of how much hate they've been getting. I feel really bad for them.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there are. I mean, just even my now. I mean, I do believe Bricks Fits needs to. If they did anything, I believe that they need to own up. But I believe like my local Bricks Minifigs that is near. Now I say local. It's like hour 30 minutes away, so not really local, but still the closest one to where I live. It's like the owner. Like I talked to the manager of the store. I just walked in there one day, and I just talked to the manager of the store and great guy. We were just chatting about, just random stuff. Like, we were talking about posters and banners and stuff that were like cool. Like it's not everyone is this evil person that people will picture. Like one thing I saw was I was looking at an M&R Productions video where he was talking about how he said on one of his videos that he wants to get all the information before making his video, and then everyone was fine for like a couple days, and it just like blew up, and then everyone was like, "Oh, you're working with Bricks and Minifigs. Oh, you're doing this. Oh, that. Oh, blah blah blah. Oh, we're boycotting this." And I mean, it's just like that. Like one thing is like just boycott, don't break. Don't break into the store and don't crack all the glass and do that. Just don't go buy it online, for goodness sakes. I mean, don't break in and vandalize the store. Just go and buy it online if you want anything. I mean, it's there's no point in because I mean they're not helping anything by destroying stuff. You're just like it's just proving that honestly it's just proving that in a way that Bricks Minifigs may try to use it and say, oh well, we're the victims because look at what the community is doing to us. You're just adding, you're giving them a chance to do something like that. You're not really helping anyone except them, really.
Yeah, I feel like you can say that about like any situation in history as a whole. There's gonna be the people who are like okay, we have to think about this radically. We have to like yes boycott the business, uh, make them be honest and stuff like that. But then you have the radicals who are like breaking into Bricks and Minifigs, vandalizing, stealing from Bricks and Minifigs, and causing a bunch of issues, uh, and leading to Bricks and Mayfigs maybe like saying, "Oh no, like look at us, like wait, like we're getting attacked, like no, no, no," stuff like that. Uh, so there's going to be radicals in any situation, and I feel like the people who are breaking in, who are harassing workers, who are calling endlessly to stores, who are commenting on everything of their specific location, or just Bricks and Mayfigs in general, um, it's like uh, those are the radicals and stuff. Like our store, before we turned off the comments and stuff like that, we had people from different states commenting on our stuff, and it's like you're not even near Texas whatsoever. It's like people in like Washington State. It's like you guys aren't even near us, and you guys are talking about it. It's like we didn't do anything, and so those are the people who are very hot-headed, and they just want to cause like they think that them causing chaos and them doing all this stuff is going to be good for our case, but in the end it makes us look bad, just as them not telling us everything makes bricks and minifigs look bad.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like in a way, I feel like a lot of people see it as now in like history. You have like against the communist stuff. Like people were like, oh, they were all radicals and they all fought back, protested all that, and then they ended up ending all that stuff. And so let's be like that. And then some people were like, oh, and then in like the fictional sense, some people were like, oh, Star Wars, they were rebels, they were fighting back against the bad guy. Let's do that. And it's like, yes, but you do it in a smarter way than just going and causing chaos because that's not it doesn't work like that because you're not fighting some evil regime that's taking over everything. You're fighting a company which has an actual like they've got actual business like if they are the bad guys in the situation, then make it so that they are in a way that they are I'm gonna say like forced, but in a way that they come out and they say what really happens. Like, don't do it as in like, don't give them a chance to say like how I just said. Don't give them a chance to say, oh, we're the victims. Give them a chance to say, oh, we victimized. Like, do the swap. Make it if you make it more like Brian is the victim or Reckless Ben is the victim instead of making it as if Bricks and Minifigs is the victim from the community. It's just like interesting. Like one thing I did see was interesting is how I feel like they were expecting chaos already, but the American Fork Police Station when they did their whole video or whatever, and they had comments on or whatever on that video. I'm like, yes, but you're already going to be expecting. Are you just waiting for the chaos to ensue because you already know that it's a hot topic right now, and you already know that people are going to be like hot headed all throughout the comments. Like there was. No, I mean, I think in a way it's good. It shows the American Fork Police Station what everyone's opinion on their topic is. But I believe that like if I was taking their side of it like let's say I was an officer of the American Fork Police Station and I wanted to be quiet, I would in a way I wouldn't even have the comments on just because I don't want because that's going to cause chaos and you don't want that. But it's just every single thing just feels like oh, we're gonna say this, and then now let's add it in on this. Like it's like we're just not. It's just not helping. They're not helping. They're more hurting, if anything. Really.
Yeah, that is a part of the whole situation that bothers me is the police corruption and their willingness to just go along with this, and stuff, and then bringing in the fact that a lot of the members of that police department are part of the Mormon church, and then the CEO is Mormon, and they're all in the same town. So it kind of like there's that conspiracy that like, oh, the Mormon church is involved, and they're all banding together, and so it's like kind of back to what we said is that this is touching a lot of people, and so now it's getting even into the Mormon church, which is crazy that like that's a whole religion that it's kind of like meddling with, but the police corruption is what gets me is that like this started as like a dispute between a company and a guy doing consignment, like that's how it began, and then it uncovered police corruption in a whole department, and then leading to the Mormon conspiracy, like just like all this stuff has led to different things. It's like who knows what the next thing they're going to uncover. Is it going to be some other scandal? Is it going to be some other thing where it's like, oh, well, these two dots are connected? What's it going to lead to? But yeah, the police scandal is what gets me. It surprises me the most is that, like, you would think that, like, police as a whole, and I'm one for, like, back the blue, protect the blue. I love police officers. I respect them. They're putting their lives on the line to protect us every single day. I respect that. I love that. But it's crazy to think that, like, man, like this you would think that they're on the side of the people who are being harassed, but in actuality they're trying to cover that up, and they're breaking into his home and doing all this stuff with a warrant and things like that. That's what surprises me the most.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, like no, I love police officers too. I think they're great. I think they're amazing. I'm not against police. I think they're putting their lives on, like I said. I believe that's amazing. What I do think is interesting is like I feel like some officers I saw in like Reckless Ben's video, it looked like some officers were like, okay, let's figure out this whole thing, and then some were like, you know, telling them like one thing I saw was interesting in Reckless Ben's first video when they were in front of the Salem, Oregon store, and their officer was talking to them, and he was like, "Okay, let's figure this out." And then the other officer comes in, whispers something in his ear, and then he's like, "You need to leave." It's like, this is a little. What did he say? And then like you see all the unredacted video that ended up getting leaked all over the internet, and all that stuff with Joshua Johnson. Like I mean, I feel like before you raid someone, I feel like you should get all the information. Like you should at least go scout it out before you go kick someone's door down and arrest them or whatever. I feel like you should at least go investigate. But It looks like they investigated after. They're like, let's get this. Let's just get him in, then we'll investigate. I feel like it's one before the other, but I do feel like there were some officers I feel like that were trying to be the right guy, and then there were some that weren't. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I've got a phone call that's trying to come in. So here, let's see. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Am I back? Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I was getting a phone call and then it kicked me off whatnot, and everything was glitching out. Okay, so yeah, if you're, I'm about to have to. We're probably gonna have to end this a little bit sooner than I was hoping, just because I'm about to have to go do something. But yeah, I believe that all the corruption is just a little, interesting. Just
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, I think that if like this whole situation, if I can describe it as a whole, is just gobbledygook. I mean, like, just with everything, it's like dominoes, one thing after another, and without end. And so I think that if this whole situation ends sooner rather than later, it'll be either Reckless Ben gets arrested and the company gets to go free, but their sales will tank, or Bricks and Minifigs owns up to everything, which I don't think that's going to happen. But I also don't think Reckless Ben is going to get arrested, because I do believe he is a smart man.
oh yeah, Reckless Ben, I believe is he's smart. I mean, you already know you're kind of smart when you think, okay, if they're not going to take us to court, then let them. If they say, oh, if you take us to court, we're going to do this, then why don't we let them take us to court? I mean, I would never think about doing that, but I mean, he's smarter than I would probably be. But I do think that yeah, I mean, it's a no-win situation for Bricks and Minifigs. It's either they Reckless Ben gets arrested like you said and their sales tank, or they come out with everything and their sales tank. Like it's like there's no possible way that they're gonna there's no way that they're gonna come out of this and everything's gonna go back to normal or everything's gonna go up. Like now I do see that like in my Bricks and Minifigs I was at now there's usually every time I'm there there's usually no one really there normally. But when I was there last time, there were actual, a few people in there who I think probably had no idea about this whole. Like I was with the manager, and like when I was just looking around, when I was taking the pictures and stuff, like he didn't care I was taking pictures about anything. He never even asked about me taking pictures. But like when I was like he was just on the like for a little bit, like he was just on the phone with a friend, just talking that like just in the store, like he was like laughing. Like it's not like these people are like bad people and they're all part of this controversy and they're all hiding something. Like it's not like, oh, just because this store has a whole bunch of Star Wars Legos, they're Brian's Legos and they're hiding it and they're not revealing it to the company, or that all Bricks Minifigs are, keeping this a secret. And I've seen that because like I've talked to you about your Bricks Minifigs. I've talked to a Bricks Minifigs franchise owner, and I've talked to a manager of a store that I know of. Like I've seen different points of view of people who have all either worked in Bricks Minifigs or are working in Bricks Minifigs or even just owning a franchise in Bricks Minifigs. Like I've talked to all different parts of that, and none of them seem to be the bad guy in the situation. Like all of them seem to be good. So it's not, so like all the people that say, "Oh, Bricks Minifigs is all horrible. They're all bad people who do all this." It's like, yes, you may be right on that part. You may be right that the corporate is doing it, but remember, there's corporate before Bricks Minifigs. Don't try to say, oh, it's as a whole. It's more of one part that's in this whole controversy, not the whole. So there's that. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say before we might just have to?
I have nothing else to say. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to put this out there and get this interview on YouTube for people to watch, because hopefully this video can give people some insights on what it like was what it was like working for Bricks and Minifigs. My opinions as a former employee, and then your opinions on this whole situation as a customer. So I feel like this whole interview should hopefully shed some light on the situation. Hopefully, we can do some more interviews in the future. I'd love to talk to you more, get some more questions, ask me more about the my experiences and stuff like that. Like that would be a fun interview to have. But again, thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed my time here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for coming to do this. One last question I have is, will you be at Brick World this year?
I don't know too much about it, Brick World, and unfortunately, my car is in the shop right now. Later today, I actually have to get it towed from a different mechanic and sent to another one who's going to look at it and be able to fix it. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to go, but I would love to go to that. But unfortunately, I just can't.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say because if you were going to Brick World, I'd hang out. We could do like a live little conversation there or something. But yeah, I do. But yeah, thank you again for coming to do this. This was awesome. I believe. Yeah, I hope this really sheds light to, from the point of view of someone who worked in Bricks and Minifigs and then was let go from Bricks and Minifigs, and then the point of view from me from like a customer. I feel like with those combining, I feel like this will really shed light on the truth of like a part of the truth that's really that a lot of people aren't seeing, because a lot of people like Bricks and Minifigs employees are like a lot of them can't really talk right now because of that they've been said that they can't really talk about any of this stuff. So seeing that like from a person that worked there, getting this out, I feel like that's going to be very helpful in the future for a lot of people, for reference for them to see this kind of stuff. But like I said, thank you for coming to do this. This was awesome. I love doing this, and yeah, we'll have to get this again another time.
Of course, I agree.
I agree.
But
Let's see.
yeah, I
But yeah,
completely agree.
I
Thank you
completely
so much.
agree. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I'll see you, and